The Spoken Token is a proud member of the Pod Studio One podcast network. Hello, everybody, and welcome into the big show. I am Larry Neal.
And I'm Alex Wallace.
And we are the Spoken Token. Hey, crystal clear this time.
Hey, I know. It's like we're back in Pod Studio One home base.
We're back to civilization.
That's true. It's true. We were in our satellite campus.
Right. Which was, oh.
It reminds me, was it Avatar? So, you know, they had that little shipping container that they did their research on in the top of the mountain. Yeah, that's what Pod Studio One North.
Oh, you're talking about the movie?
Yeah.
I ain't never seen that.
No, you haven't. Well, you know what? It's not bad.
Okay.
It's not bad.
I'll take your word for it.
It's like Dances with Wolves, but with giant alien blue guys.
I mean, I saw Dances with Wolves, and it made a pile of money, so I guess it wasn't too bad.
Yeah. Okay.
So, hey, man. How you doing?
I'm good. Great. Super excited about the show today. We've got something special for our listeners.
We do, but before we get to that, hey, what you been up to? A lot of games getting played?
But the special thing.
I know. We'll get to the special thing. Hey, I can hear you clearly and you can hear me clearly. I don't want to waste this.
That's fair enough. So to be honest with you, my brother-in-law came into town and we were like, all right, let's play some games.
Gaming.
Yeah, gaming. And so we got, let's see, what did we get to the table? Empires of the North. What is that? Imperial Settlers, Empires of the North. So we got that, got to play that. It was pretty cool. I enjoyed that. It was super balanced. And I know I've talked about it in a previous episode about engine building games, but really, really fun. Enjoyed that. And then we were like, we got some time. It's middle of the afternoon. We're going to play Maglev Metro.
Sweet.
And the whole process that you and I went through?
Yes.
We're like, we were playing it, and then we went, oh, dear goodness, we've just discovered something amazing. I saw
best discovery ever.
I saw that on his face.
Okay.
As we were playing.
You bought a copy after playing it with me.
Absolutely.
Right.
Well, and it just... So we played it, and I won that one. And even then, he was like, "We got to play this again." And so we couldn't play it then. But so I beat him it was like 53 to 30 something. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm all right, okay." I was feeling pretty good about myself. And so the next day he came over, and he's like, "I got some time. Let's play Maglev."
You played it 3 times?
We played twice.
Oh, twice. Okay.
Twice. Yeah. And so I was like, "Okay." So we flipped from the Manhattan side. We played the Berlin side.
Cool.
So the more advanced side.
Yes.
And again, we flew through that game because, again, we knew what we were doing and it just was so brilliant. By the end of the game, Larry, the score was 44 to 109. He lapped me. Just straight up made a fool of me.
Listen, I know your family, but you can't come here and play games.
That's really kind of I had to go through all of my training of be cool, dude. Be cool. I mean, I just sat there and go, I cannot. And now I will say it was one of those things. It made me question. All right, so I went back and I looked at our scoring, the different cards that you get when you score, and I did see there was a little bit of a balancing issue there. Even if I had scored everything that he had scored from my personal things, I don't know if I would have been able to got the whole thing. But, I mean, I think he eked out every single victory point he could have. It was truly brilliant. And I was in awe. I have not been thoroughly handed my tail that significant in a very long time. And
so much so that you're at a loss for words.
I for real, at a loss for words. But... it's a good game when you go, I just got destroyed, and all I want to do is play it again.
Well, that's a lot of stuff I played lately.
Yeah, that's true. But again, first time you play something, you always get destroyed.
Pretty much. Yeah. And if I teach it, I'm going to lose.
Yeah. If you're teaching, you're going to lose. So what did you play?
Well, cool. My list has been extensive. Hey, man, I've been, it's paying off that I'm trying to mark down every play because I've had some pretty good months this year so far.
Well, there's only been 6 of them.
I know, but hey, for me, I mean, that's fantastic. I've gotten so far this month, today we are recording on the 7th. I've already played 10 games this month. So I've already played more than there are days in the month. The average is more than a game a day. Hasn't broken down that way, obviously, but I've had some days where we play multiple because typically when I get together with the group on Board Game Arena, we'll play multiples. And like this weekend, I sat down with Railroading twice, but just a quick run through for this month so far. Of course, you and I played Marvel Champions on the 1st to hold over from the other one we played. Then we played Railroad Inc. the first time. We played Ashes. I've gotten in 2 games of Draft of Swords, cute little filler game.
Yeah.
Which is fun. Welcome to New Las Vegas, dude. Played it on Board Game Arena. Still haven't played my physical version.
I played Welcome to on Board Game Arena just this past weekend.
Isn't it fantastic?
It's wonderful.
The Welcome to actually this one's gotten better. Vegas has gotten better.
Okay.
But the Welcome to implementation on there is much better.
Yeah.
I think I said that before, but it is. When you go to play Vegas, which is probably the best way to learn Vegas because so much is going on.
Yeah.
It's not bad by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not as good as Welcome to. Welcome To's is immaculate.
Yeah, it's so well done.
And
Highly
I
recommend.
have no idea how I did it.
Uh-huh.
I was a 2-player game.
Yeah.
Scored 123 points.
Hey, all right.
Yeah, and it's so funny. I was playing, and Devin
The
was
other person scored like 140, right?
no.
No, you won.
Yeah, by a lot.
Larry.
By a lot. And so the other player was like, you should write that down. I was like, I don't need to write that down. I'll never forget it.
I will remember that to the day I die.
And also, I can't tell you how I managed to do it.
It'll be transcribed on my tombstone.
We were playing and had a good time, but it's really good. It's starting to click for me. I think the other person's main idea is like, I kind of don't like this one. It's a little too busy. It kind of started to click for me this time.
Okay.
I picked up one thing and kind of ran with that.
Right.
And then just kind of tried to do a little bit of maintenance on other things where I got a chance to pop in, and it paid off.
Okay.
It was driving me crazy on some turns because I'm like, I should do that now. And I'm like, I would normally do that. No, Larry, you're not going to do the way you normally do because you normally end up with like a negative point score. So don't do that. And I would wait. And some things I ended up I started something at the start of the game. I don't think I got a chance to touch it again until almost the end. It was driving me nuts.
Yeah.
But then it just fell in the line. And that's what happened. I mean, the way the cards happened, and then the scores just started multiplying up, obviously, at the end. I've also played both Lush Green and Shining Yellow and Railroad Ink, so I've played 3 colors of that. And, of course, played Lost Ruins of Arnak again. It's fantastic.
So, and that on BGA, right?
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I prefer the physical edition.
I do too.
And they're looking for the physical edition. They wanted to buy a copy. But it's so good, though, man.
It is. I love it.
And the game was, it was close between me and the second place person. It was. Chris has 56, I think, and I had 54. But the winner was like 85 or
wow.
something. She destroyed us.
Yeah.
It was crazy. But one thing is kind of emerging. That track on the side, for those of you that have played Lost Rules of Arnak, and if you haven't, the research track on the side, you neglect that, you will not win.
No, absolutely. Yeah, no, it is. That is the primary focus of the game.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, and when I teach that, I make sure people say, this.
You know what's funny?
Anything that you do on this main board is just bonus, but your real focus needs, because I have explored the game trying to do all of the other things.
Yeah, it's not possible.
Yeah.
And it's funny, when I taught Devin, I taught her the game. I told her that and then didn't do it. And of course, she's beat me every time now.
Okay, so I am excited about our show today. So, Larry,
what's going on today?
Can we start? Can we start?
Okay, fine.
Okay, let's get into the show.
Hello, and welcome to the Spoken Token Podcast, episode number 91. At this time, Alex and Larry welcome Sarah Mason and Mitchell Maddox into the studio to talk about their first game, Death Charades. We cover everything from design to manufacture and even get into some game crafting theory, along with a heaping helping of energetic interjections as only the Spoken Token can deliver. So sit back, relax, and get out your notes on that prototype game you've been working on and turn us up as we join our hosts, Alex Wallace and Larry Neal. All right, everybody, and we are back. Welcome into the show, Alex. So,
why are you looking nefarious?
I don't know what you mean.
But that's really.
Oops, that slipped out. Who was that?
That's.
So no, we have special guests today with us, man. Your favorite thing. We have guests in the house. Carl cleaned up. I shaved. It's fantastic.
You didn't shave. You're still as woolly as ever.
No, man. I don't know. Trust me, I shaved. I know how scary that sounds.
That's
but no,
true. Oh, goodness. I am super excited. Okay.
I scared myself till I got the hair. Oh, that is me. I thought it was a woolly mammoth made it into my bath. No.
I was trying to be polite for our guests, and you're still talking about yourself not shaving.
I have
That's
no idea what
awkward.
you mean.
Okay. Hey, well, can you introduce our guest, or should I?
You do it.
Okay, because I'll see if I can. All right. We have with us Mitchell Maddox and Sarah Mason. They are the creators of one of the coolest party games that we have seen on the market as of late, and that is Death Charades. Now, I am a loser and do not know how to pronounce. This is Mento Mori. Can you help? Is that your company name? I'm lost here. Oh, they're looking at each other. Uh-oh. And so it begins.
Yes.
Memento Mori is Latin for remember death.
Oh, how clever.
Oh.
Memento Mori. It's like this. That's the second Latin-inspired board game person that we've talked to.
Is it?
Yeah, in Vino Morte. He's all about Latin too. So apparently Latin's coming back. So
Yeah.
I mean, it
Yeah,
was
I
it was
remember
out
that.
there for a while. People were like,
I
no, not
remember
Latin.
that
But it's
fully.
coming back. It's coming back. So cool. No, Memento Mori. Now, is that a company name or is that just a really cool saying that you put on the box?
It's a really cool saying that we just put on the box.
Love the honesty.
Dang
Love it.
Okay, so what is the name of your company?
Macabre Enterprises.
Oh, so I'm sensing a theme here. So
And Memento Mori. If anybody out there is Googling while they're listening, you'll find that this is an ancient concept. People used to carry around these little trinkets in their pockets, and now that you've heard this, you'll find people with Memento Mori tattoos that are just reminders that you'll die one day.
Oh,
But most of you.
okay.
And yes, the Memento Mori is a cool concept. You're going to see this everywhere now that we've said it, and we threw it on the box because we want the game to be a reminder that not only should you party every day, but you should live life as if you're going to die someday.
Oh.
Take advantage of every day.
So
And there's some more
little
like
carpe
Easter eggs
diem.
in Latin on there too, since everybody's into the Latin thing.
It's
these
really
days.
funny because now this explains the tattoo on my grandmother's arm. I thought it was like, I thought it was this really cool, like, oh, my grandmother, like, she's like, they have, like, I'm not even go into that.
Okay,
But it
too late.
It explains a lot. It explains a lot.
I did not know that was your grandmother.
She lived hard.
So, so what we normally do, for those of you who listen, of course, we like to break everything down into segments, and we're really, really pleased to have, or I should say blessed to have some guests in with us, some designers, some people who have been successful on Kickstarter. They've got their game out there. So we're able to kind of combine two segments into one. We're doing both Grand Designs and Design Lab, where we're going to talk about game design. We're going to talk about it with designers, and we're going to talk to you guys about the process a little bit of creating the game and kind of what some next steps are. So I
How
know
does that feel to be referred to as game designers?
Oh, they've
It
been there.
feels really good.
Really good. No, I understand, but I mean, just like,
They've been there for a minute.
right, but I mean, like, you walk down the street and people look at you. Wait, where do I know you? Wait, you're game designers, aren't you? Have you had those moments? Maybe.
Yeah, that's the whole reason Mitchell grew out his hair, so he could do a nice little hair flip when he's noticed on the street.
That's
that
right.
rocks.
I did.
So first question, we'll jump right into them, and then we'll just kind of go kind of laid back, as you guys have already seen. So right off the bat, let's just get it out of the way. Why a charades game about death? Give us the story.
So, actually, a pigeon dropped a piece of paper one day, and it landed in my lunch, and I picked it up, and it said
Perfect.
Death Charades.
Death
And I
Charades.
said, wow,
Done.
this pigeon
Was
just
it-
had
was
the
it a
best
rare
idea of
all-black
my
pigeon?
life.
Is that what it was? An all-black pigeon?
Yeah,
Rare?
it could have been a crow, but I think it was a black pigeon.
A pigeon, just like the Edgar Allan Poe poem.
That's true. Which I mean, quoth the pigeon, quoth the pigeon, nevermore.
I always fell asleep in English.
Yeah, so you can thank that goth pigeon for this game.
I do picture like a normal pigeon just wearing all black because it wants to be goth.
Yeah.
So
And it had this idea, and it said, I, as a pigeon, cannot bring this to
I don't
fruition.
have opposable thumbs.
I don't have the hands for this, so I'm going to pass it on
Which begs
to this
where he got the
woman
note
here.
from, but we'll just leave that part alone.
Yeah.
He scrawled it with him. Of course, all pigeons do. Never mind. I'm moving on. So, real story, unless that was, because if so, super awesome.
Well, then I took the pigeon costume off.
Now the truth comes out.
Yeah.
This was Sarah's idea. Sarah came up with this concept as a part of a larger set of
Dumb ideas.
Dumb
larger
ideas.
set of dumb
that
Brainstorming.
Yes.
she actually came up with this as a package, which I should let her talk about because
yeah.
it's kind of
This
it's kind of
is a real
amazing. Actually,
story.
this is a real story.
Really cool.
Yeah, I refer to this as unemployed, but I was just underemployed. I was making like part-time money. And I had this idea for, when you say it out loud, it sounds so crazy.
Hey, we're on a board game podcast. At this point, like,
Right.
we've been doing this for 5 years. Like, the bar is
Nothing's
real
crazy.
low. So
Okay,
you're
cool.
good.
Yeah. So it was like a box you get in the mail that had an assortment of activities, but they were all death themed, and it was like an adult sleepover box, not dirty. Like if you had some adult friends who were all into death and murder, you could get together and pretend like you were having a child sleepover, but there were all these weird dark activities.
Okay.
Death Charades was one of them. Like,
did that come with like, the police were like, hey, while you were sending these out, can we get this address? Just to the people who are subscribed to this.
It was more Clue than Saw.
Yes, yes.
There we go.
Hey, well put.
Nice reference.
That's very true. So it would be like a Mad Lib obituary.
Got it.
So things of this nature.
Got it.
Like,
so kind of a next step from the dinner death party type game.
Yes, exactly. So it felt a little bit more childlike, hence the sleepover aspect.
I like it.
You might imagine a sleep mask that said afterlife of the party, or like sleep forever, or like that sort of thing.
Got it.
So this was part of that idea that I notebooked and journaled and then became employed and forgot about. And Mitchell found this notebook in my house and said, wow, what is this?
Was that during
with his keys in his
aforementioned
hand, 1 foot out the door?
Because this idea was before we
Sleepovers.
met, yes, and then we've been dating, and he said, oh, what's this?
And that's the moment where you go, excuse me, Mitchell, we have to talk.
And that's the moment where either we break up immediately or you start a business together.
And here you are.
And here you are.
And here we
Looks
are.
like you chose wisely.
Yeah.
You chose wisely.
So the game was not totally fleshed out at that point. It was
Sure.
very different than it is now. And Mitchell is the reason that it is bigger and better. So
Really cool. Well, and you know what's funny? That dovetails neatly into the next question.
I think it's appropriate that we say it pigeon tails.
So, not just for this game, but for every game, but we can speak about it there since you started there. I wanted you to take us through your design process and how collaborative was it? So,
it was very collaborative. No, we started with a spreadsheet of ways to die. And kind of how you would imagine, the first 50 are easy. You're like, wow,
I'll take
you
your
could
word
die
for
a
it.
lot of ways.
I'll take your word for it.
Yes. And then you hit about 75 to 100 and you really hit a wall.
It's really hard to hide the bodies at that point.
Did you put hitting a wall as one of your...
No, but
Gotta write that down.
taking
An
some.
old terminal velocity.
That's
Yes.
right.
So after that, there were a number of ways we came up with ways to die.
Did you ever do like really like macabre research? Just like Google. What's the Darwin Awards?
Yes, a lot of Darwin Awards research. A lot of those are very specific, though.
It's true.
Is what I found. I think I went through like 10 years of Darwin Awards,
Oh,
actually.
my
And I was
goodness.
like, maybe 5 of these work.
Yeah. It's like man impaled by
Wow.
frozen shaft of airplane pee or
There was
While
one-
riding an alligator.
Yeah, for real.
That's what
That
they
is
are.
very specific.
There-
It's hard to act out in charades.
Yes, there was one Nashville-specific Darwin Award where a guy tried to break into the Pancake Pantry. I don't know if you're familiar with this pancake
yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
establishment.
Been there a few times.
And he fell into a vat of something and died.
So, very cool. We got the spreadsheet in there, which, hey, have you guys had the spreadsheet nightmare yet? Anybody had that one yet?
Like,
Oh, a nightmare about a spreadsheet?
Yeah. No, you hush. Have you guys had the nightmare?
No.
Oh, it's coming. So send us an email when you do,
Okay.
and we'll share that together.
Okay.
Okay.
Game
But
designer,
sounds
been
good.
there, done that. Terrifying.
I'm gonna just say though that the fact that they're researching ways to die, their nightmares may actually be
We've had
crowded
other
by
nightmares.
other things.
Yeah.
Trust me, spend enough time in a spreadsheet, it's coming. Trust me.
Trapped in a box.
It's coming. It's coming. So we'll leave that little cliffhanger there and move on.
There we go.
So can you guys elaborate on the main inspiration for your game design? Just a little bit more. You've given us a taste. Come on, dig into it.
Do you mean on the physical, like artistic design, or do you mean like the
Well, actually,
game design itself?
game design
So
itself.
walk us through
Game
your process, because have you designed a game before?
Okay, so I am in software development, and the guys that work for my company used to design games. Some of them used to design mobile games.
Oh,
Fantastic.
And so some clients came to us at some point, and they were like, "Hey, you guys did games. Can you gamify? That term that's ubiquitous now. Can you gamify an app for
Yeah.
our company?" And so I have a background a little bit in the research of gamification, and there's some good resources out there, good books on this.
Yes.
There are people making a living being consultants in gamification.
Yep.
And my sort of vocational background has a bit of that in it. And so when we came up with the game, it's like, well, you have charades, and everybody knows what charades is, and so you throw it in the title of the game, and then it's easy to understand. But also, you kind of need to make a game a little more interesting, right? Like,
Yeah.
just to create some more interest around the game, but also it just makes it more interesting to play.
Mm-hmm.
And so we threw in some unusual gameplay cards
Yeah.
in there
My
that are
favorite
unique
is
to the game.
the ghost one.
The ghost sounds.
Yes, just put the woo. You have to act it out while making ghost noise. Woo. But yeah, and again, I would say that there's probably a level of like anyone can say, "Oh, I can design a charades game," but then again, like as I just kind of spending time with your game, like there's some really cool elements here that are very elegant that take a very simple idea but also make it palatable for your more hardcore gamers. And so, sort of like, how did you?
I love the
Yeah.
sound of that.
Hardcore
Yes,
gamers?
well, listen, you have a game about death.
Yeah.
Hardcore
Yeah.
and gamers were our demographic, but hardcore gamers together.
Listen, and that's who you're. Yes, separate.
New.
It's a Venn diagram.
That's a whole new level.
The one in the middle. But like, how did you? Because I would assume like it would be easy enough to go, things on cards, and we're done. So at what point did you go, okay? And I know you sort of alluded to this a second ago. There's got to be more. Like, talk about the death marks and the which I think is a really clever way to do that.
Yeah, so the death marks are. I used to be a high school teacher, a literature teacher, and I'm super into the literary stuff. And this was taken from Treasure Island,
Mm-hmm.
and so the black spots on the cards are for points,
Mm-hmm.
and that way, when you're acting this out, you have 45 seconds. We have a free app timer that you can download, or you can use it for anything else if you have 45-second things to time as well. But you can during that 45 seconds, you have the choice. You can say, okay, well, this card's too hard. It's a 3-pointer, or I want to spend the whole 45 seconds on this because I can get 3 points for this card. And so maybe you want to go for the harder ones. Maybe you want to whatever. Anyway, you get a skip or two. So it was a way to just sort of introduce a little bit of variability from turn to turn. So a little bit of complexity, a little bit of difficulty, just so it gives people a sense that they have some choice in the game. And I think that's important for like you said, it's a really simple game. We play a couple of other more complex strategy games for fun. And those games took really smart people to create and lots of thinking. Ours took a lot of like being goofy. And then we were like, okay, well, we need to add some things in there that are not just
You two
goofy.
being goofy? I don't think I can see that. Not sure I
So,
believe that.
we came up with some stuff, and that was the stuff. And we messed around with some. We had a couple of test groups early on, and we tested some of these concepts out. Which,
What didn't make into the game? That's what I'm.
We
Really
took
great
out
question.
some
The actual murder.
gruesome,
piece.
murder stuff got taken out.
That brings up an interesting question. So finish
Yeah.
that thought. I'll come back to that.
Mostly murder and a little bit of anything that might be like offensive.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning, this game was a lot more crude than it is now. And after playing it with some test groups and getting some feedback from an early designer, actually, we realized that the game was a lot more fun when it was goofy and a little bit like the art and some of the game design being a little bit more refined,
Yeah.
kind of played to goofy and refined fit better together than crass and refined.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
And so,
absolutely.
how did you? What allowed you to move from like what is acceptable in the game opposed? Because I mean, we're dealing with a pretty intense subject.
Well, we hit a point where we were playing around with the name, and we realized that the name itself is the shock factor. We don't need a shock factor of obscene ways to die.
Very good.
And we also don't want to be insensitive.
That's
We
very
wanted it to be potentially a conversation piece of your children realize that everyone's going to die, but
yeah, feedback from people is super important. I think in any business venture that you want to try out, or any artistic anything that you do, right? Like getting feedback if it's meant for an audience, it's really handy to know what people think of it. So Sarah mentioned an early graphic designer that we worked with. We were looking for a concept for the box once we had designed the game and had tested it. We tested it, and by the way, this is super helpful. I think had we known this early on, we would have just immediately done it. You can take blank cards and write on them with a marker and make up games and play them with your friends. And we did that a couple of times with different test groups, and they didn't care that it didn't have fancy design on it. It was, hey, here's the concept, here are the cards, go for it. And people really dug in. And so that was one way we got feedback. And the first graphic designer that we worked with, Jacqueline, who's an excellent, excellent designer, our original list had all of these gruesome things in it, and her response was, okay, I saw your list of 260 ways to die, and I think
right
it's
through that wall, I
a
see.
very neat concept you have here, and you can remove these 44, and I will work with you. And if
But they
you
were the
don't do
low-hanging
that,
fruit. Yeah, she helped us wipe the low-hanging fruit and replace them with things that are actually a little bit more interesting for charades. Like,
Yeah.
you may not die slipping on a banana peel, but it's really good for charades.
Absolutely. Yeah.
piano falling out of a window,
Right.
fell into a manhole,
Yeah.
like the
So you guys have talked about this, and I'm sure Larry's got a segment that he'll throw in. Do you have a segment about their artistic design? Because
Well, I was going to ask a question and just start off with a statement that the website and the art design, it is superb. It's
I mean,
fantastic.
you guys have
thank you.
one of the classiest
Yeah, it's really good.
presentations of any game that we've seen in a very long time.
Right. And my question on that was this a matter of just folding in some existing talents to this project, or was it something that kind of emerged as you guys went along?
We're so glad you asked this, because the person who designed the box, it did require folding in some existing talent, some people that we knew.
Okay, perfect.
So we leaned on family and friends for this, but we hit the jackpot because the guy who designed the box is an old friend of mine from college, from ages ago, and his name is Steve Luoma. And he now has his own agency. He's just left his agency that he was working for. He has his own graphic design agency. He has gone through phases in his life where he designed really, really cool stuff, including buying some of those 19th century machines that Hatch Show Prints uses and making his own block prints and like carved prints and things. He's a really, really talented artist, and he lives in San Diego. And we went to him because the first artist wanted us to delete all these cards, and we didn't know. And then she didn't live in town. We didn't know her as well. And so we were like, okay, let's talk to Steve. Steve spent part of his career designing luxury boxes, which is like, interesting. Yeah. That might line up with what we're trying to do here. And also, we're not professional game designers, and we wanted to stand out somehow. So we had, I guess, an advantage of coming at it with the like naive sort of approach. But also, we went to Steve, who's also not a game box designer and doesn't play many games. He occasionally plays a game, but he came in it with fresh eyes as well. Mm-hmm. And so he was thinking, I'm going to design a box that's a conversation piece that people can put on their shelves. It's going to stand out. That's not going to be another glossy box on the shelf.
Right.
And I'm going to make it fit just like an Apple computer box fits, or an iPhone box, so that the tolerances on the box are just right and the weight's right and all of this. And he spent an enormous amount of time on this, getting the box right. And then he's just a fanatic about, you want to find somebody who loves what they do. Steve is one of these people who loves what he does as much as anybody in the world. When he went to design the hands, for example, it was sort of like he wanted spy versus spy. Plus, we gave him one cue, which was that this game was played by children in a Charles Dickens novel. And so he wanted this Victorian parlor games element to it. And then he also has a passion for ancient Buddhist art. And so he took hands from ancient Buddhist art to spy versus spy to Victorian parlor games. And he was like, plus I want gold foil stamping to make it look luxurious. And then he went crazy on this box.
Let me jump into in the publishing world for a minute. So when you guys took his initial design specifications for the box to a publisher, is this the final thing, or what? Or did you guys have to make? And I know obviously we're talking money, so you don't have to get into that if you don't want to. But I'm really interested in it from a production standpoint. Did you guys have to say, okay, we got to cut back on a few things because he went a little over the top, or were you guys able to take his exact thing and translate it directly to production?
Okay, that's a great question. We have been able to stay independent,
Mhm.
which is great. So we're not working with any licensing or distribution company. We were approached. We did some hustling, and then somebody
Mitchell
asked
found
us,
a lot of people's email addresses on the internet
Gotta do
and
the work.
reached
Listen,
out to some people.
that's
on
what you
LinkedIn.
gotta do.
You got to do the work.
Yeah.
You got to do the
Mitchell
work.
has
I'm gonna fist
done
bump you
the
on that one
work.
'cause you gotta
Yes.
do the
I
work.
will
I
say he
appreciate
is
it.
very good at doing that kind of work.
Yeah.
If
I'm
you need someone
shameless.
to do that work for you,
But
he
you know what? In
probably
this
can help you out.
industry, like, I mean, take 2020 out of it. You know, you're looking at 5,000 unique titles a year in 2019, and so how you get yourself out there is really, really important, because otherwise you just disappear.
Absolutely. And we saw that, especially during COVID. A lot of people were producing games. They were sitting at home,
Yeah.
coming up with concepts, playing games.
And especially
And-
being a party game
Mhm.
released in COVID. Strategy game you can play with your 4 people who you're going to see every day.
Right.
Party game was a little bit harder.
Yeah, and if you go to Target and you look at the two shelves, you got your strategy games, you got your party games, and the two crowds don't mix that much.
Mm-mm.
And so we wanted to be. That was actually confusing for us at the beginning, because we got on the forums and we joined the Facebook groups and we were chatting people up, and they would be like, "Wow, you guys are nice. What kind of game you got?" We'd be like, "It's a party game." It's crickets.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's not really what we're here for.
Yeah.
We're here for cool strategy stuff.
Sorry.
And
So thank you for having us.
yeah. But then somebody went on Board Game Geek and they said something that we thought was really appropriate, which is strategy gamer here. This is a great icebreaker, like for a crowd.
Starter
A great
game for the
starter
night.
game.
Absolutely.
It's a game where, you know what, if you want to just break the ice and have fun and like throw a few conversation cards, it's a little bit like an apples to apples or something, where it's like, oh wow, clever, wasn't that fun? Okay, let's move on to something
Easy
more
to learn.
serious.
Yeah.
Right?
Don't do it.
I'm just making sure you don't.
I won't say it.
Okay. Oh, and let's don't lose the box, because I really want to know that about the box, about the production from.
Yes.
So from
Yes.
So, independent designer.
Yes. So Steve created the designs.
Uh-huh.
We then found a couple of different manufacturers.
was this
and got some quotes.
post your Kickstarter or pre Kickstarter?
Okay, so that's another good question. So Kickstarter is often used when you have a concept and you need some capital
Right.
to get things going. Period.
Yeah.
And that's a great way to do things, and a lot of companies do that.
Yep.
A lot of games companies do that, and we could name drop. You can go out there and research, and there are a lot of famous games who did that. There's some that have raised millions.
Oh,
and
yeah,
there's some
yeah,
that's- what we thought was, we're new to this industry. We don't know what we're doing. We're willing to invest enough capital to get the design done
Okay, cool.
and get one production copy done, a prototype.
Perfect.
And so we got bids from 2 or 3 different manufacturers,
Mhm.
and we talked to some of the bigger players in the industry. Just finding emails and emailing them and saying, "Hey, where'd you get your games produced? How much did it cost?" And we both talked to several different games companies, et cetera. We just did a bunch of research, right, just to figure out the comps. And then we had a prototype built, and a prototype is not cheap, right? Like,
It's not.
you do have to think about, like, our designer gave us a little bit of a break, which is great because he's Steve, he's our buddy. And so we paid for the design, and then we paid for a prototype. And that way we could have this thing for Kickstarter. And we were like, you know what, we're going to commit to, what did we say? We were going to commit to something like 500 to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
But then Kickstarter did really well, and we
Right.
doubled our goal. And
Yeah.
then we were like, oh, well, okay, let's commit to more. So we committed to more games, and we're like, we're just going to have to hustle and sell these things. And so as we were waiting on them, we were trying to make connections to retailers, et cetera. And so we knew we had a little capital coming in from more capital than we thought coming from Kickstarter, and we had some capital that we thought we were like happy to commit
Right.
to the project. And so we knew that we're trying to find the balance there, right? Like, don't wait on the money totally,
Right.
Yeah.
but also don't commit everything yourself.
Right.
So try to do it in a sort of like, I don't know,
In a
Yeah.
reasonable way.
reasonable way.
Yeah.
We knew that we were going to do this no matter what. Kickstarter was, well, maybe not no matter what. If the Kickstarter totally flopped, we might be like, oh, maybe people won't like this. But it was
That
kind
would
of
have been a card,
Yeah,
destitute
exactly.
from a failed Kickstarter. So
yeah. So we kind of said the Kickstarter money will be nice to use to print more games,
Yeah.
and it will also be proof of concept.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's kind of where we landed. And Steve, actually, the manufacturer we ended up using was a connection from Steve, who had printed boxes from him in the past before. So they had a good working relationship, and we turned it around very quickly because we had put this project down when COVID hit. We said, maybe not the right time to release a game about death.
Yeah.
But then as people started to play a lot more games and get together over the summer, we thought, wouldn't it be great to release this by Halloween? That timeline did not work out, but we did get it out by Christmas. We had games in people's hands by Christmas, and we probably picked it back up in September.
Wow.
Maybe very end of August is when we started talking to Steve. And we just had a game.
That's an incredible turnaround.
It was crazy.
Yeah. So where are you retail now? That's exciting.
So we are locally in Nashville. We are in Gift Horse in East Nashville, which is a quirky gift store. We are in the Game Point Cafe in Bongo.
Of course.
We are in Hale Dark Aesthetics, which is like a taxidermy oddities store in East Nashville.
What's the name of it again?
Hale Dark Aesthetics.
Did you ask them to coffee?
Actually, weirdly enough, when we first released the game, there's an East Nashville Facebook page that is notorious. It's got a ton of people on it. It's a lot of trolls. It's a good way to stay up to date with what's happening in East Nashville. Anyway, we posted about it when we first released the game, and he messaged us, the owner of the store, and said, "Hey, I think my customers would really like this. Let me know when you're ready to wholesale."
Wow.
So.
Okay, so was that the you were going through your list? I'm so sorry. I get.
That's it locally. We are selling on our website, and we are hoping to be very soon in some online retailers around that we'll hopefully be able to give you an update on.
We would love
some bigger stuff.
We'll take a spoiler too.
That's true. Because listen, we need any piece of news we can. We're scrapping for listeners.
No. That's really, really cool. And let me do this too.
That's exciting. That's really cool.
I guess I wanted to ask, because I think we kind of have a little bit of the ideas. I know you guys have your hands full, which is good with what is going on now. But can you share anything about what's next in line for you guys? What's
bigger retailers?
So is this
more local, more small retailers?
Gotcha.
Hopefully, some more game stores.
Yeah.
Game stores are tricky because, as we're learning, if you go into a game store, you might be looking for heavy strategy games,
right.
And it just depends. So we are exploring more small retailers that might be more like gift stores, because the gift store in town is doing really well. It's like you walk in. You're looking for something in the $30 price point range, but you don't know what you're looking for.
And this can kind of be that sort of ironic gift.
And
that's right at that price point. So, but I think, are you guys all energy is leaning in towards Death Charades, or is it this is now the project that sets us up to do the next thing? We want to thank the sponsors of today's episode, our friends at Van Ryder Games.
Creators of award-winning games such as the single-player Hostage Negotiator and the One vs. Many Detective City of Angels.
You can find their full catalog of games, including their graphic novel adventures, at vanrydergames.com. That's VANRYDERGAMES.com, your FLGS, or wherever you buy your games online. They keep giving each other these little wide-eyed looks.
I know, right?
Either they have not talked in a really long time.
Yeah, I'm like, Carl, we need a camera on this side of the table.
I haven't seen him in 2 months. No, we see each other every day. No, I would say right now our energy is focused on Death Charades. We would like to release more games, but right now we feel like we are just pushing it over that threshold of this is going to get a lot easier.
Yeah.
Let me I want to do a quick, give you guys some support, maybe be a bug in your ear in terms of your retail. You're already in Game Point. By all means, I would say definitely elaborate on that. What I was going to say was try to focus on at least one game store to get into. You're kind of already there with Game Point. So let me encourage you to build that relationship with the game store. If you can get into another one, the reason why I'm saying that, obviously you want to go where the sales are. That just makes most sense. Okay. But speaking now to, this is, it is a party game, but you want hobby level gamers. That's your core audience, okay? They're going to go in some of the stores that you guys are in now because everybody does, right? But they're in there for something else. So it's good to be incidental, but you guys want to be somewhere where they went there to buy a game, so that they're not
Great
thinking about
advice.
it as like, oh, hey, let's pick this up, because no, they're going, let's buy a game. And then that way, because remember, well, we've said it before, and Alex probably knows I'm about to go with this. This game has to compete on the shelf twice. It has to do it once when the people take it home, and then once we get it home on our shelves, it's got to compete again to be pulled off to be played.
Which I think you, again, as we've
Super
alluded
helpful.
to several times,
Yeah.
it's already the way that it looks. It's already inviting. It's scary as
what's
that
there in the
sounds.
box works, and how it looks works too. But yeah, if they got it if they picked it up, somewhere on a whim, they'll think about it a little differently than if, I went to Game Point to buy, I went to wherever to buy so-and-so, and this is the game that stuck out. So again, don't change anything you're doing. I'm not saying come out of the other stores, but you've got Game Point, so you've got one game store. Just make sure you guys don't completely sleep on them, because that's your core audience are gamers.
Yeah.
Do you have two questions? Do you have any stores that you have in mind? And then two, what's a game that did that for you that you bought twice? You
We
bought
got
it in the
questions.
store, and
Yeah.
then you bought it when you got home because you were like, oh yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, I can answer. Well, obviously the one of them would be Game Point, I would say, for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be funny. That's probably the one that I would have said now. A few years ago, it would have been our friends over at
Yeah. Roll the dice.
Let's answer the other question he asked, because it was
Yes.
fantastic in terms of a game that came home and then it competes again to get off the shelf. Why don't you go first? Because I know you've got a couple, or at least one. Give us at least
Everything
one.
competes.
Well, I mean, but what makes you pull off the one that you do?
I mean, I look at, so I have Trickerion, the collector's edition, and honestly, it is very similar in aesthetics to what you guys have here, and it's basically it's a Victorian. Have you ever seen the movie? What's the one with Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale? The Prestige.
The Prestige.
Yes, so it's you're competing magicians,
Yes.
but it's very Victorian. So the box itself has no imagery whatsoever. It's just a lot of solid. But again, it's elegant, it's sleek, and so it was quite an investment to get that. But then every time I look on my shelf, I go, "That's just beautiful," and I just want to pull it out. But then, as Larry said, box space. I think what you've done so well, and that's what I keep coming back to, is so many of the people out there now are just putting picture on picture on picture on picture on their boxes of the game, and so they want to evoke a particular feeling, like we're in the jungle, so lots of leaves and animals, or you're in space, so stars and all of this kind of stuff.
Right.
But games that, again, the design starts on the box and goes all the way through.
Right.
I don't know if that answered your question.
And
I just got lost in your box. It's so pretty.
Yeah. So for me, I'll say a couple of things for me. What I'll do with a game, depending on how much I like it, and shelf space sometimes I'll face games out, as opposed to, most of them obviously are vertical or horizontal, because, we can only have so many Cadillacs in your house.
I store mine diagonal
But every once in a while,
because I'm a monster.
not surprised. Every once in a while, I'll put them face out for just that reason. And one that pulls time off, and Alex knows this, one of my favorite ones, and I'll say it's Ascension, which is a deck building game, and it's got a lot to do with the art. The art is evocative. I have found that when I have the later versions on the shelf, I go to it less than when I have the Ricky Sabe ones on, because I'm one of the few people that likes the art of the original Ascension, apparently, other than the guy who drew it himself. But
I mean, you guys can totally relate, right? I mean,
everybody, sure, yeah.
For real.
Yeah, that same problem. No, but for whatever reason, I mean, that the artwork, for one, like I said, is very evocative. I love the game. And so that sometimes I'll be going for Legendary, which sits above it on my shelves. I'm 6'2", almost 6'3", for everybody who doesn't know. So the games at my eye level are way up there. And Ascension sits down, and Marvel Legendary is at eye level. But there are times when I'll go for Legendary because I love it, but I'm going to get Ascension. And I'll go play Ascension. And so that's one of those things. And that's when I first realized it. When I got my first Cal-X and put them up, I got them. When I first got the games up on the shelf, that's when I first came up with the idea, because putting everything up and walking up to it, it was almost overwhelming the first time. It was my collection. I've been working on it for years, maybe 300 titles at that point in time, but they hadn't been all in shelves. So that first time I walk up, when I get them done, I'm like, I'm going to play something. I just stood there for 10 minutes and just walked away, because I'm like, I need a coffee. I literally did. I went and sat in my easy chair for a little while and was like, okay, that was almost over. And Alex knows I'm not really that type of person, but it was so much. So that's when I first started coming in with that idea. I'm like, you know what? The games have to compete twice. Because now what do I pull off my shelf to play?
Mhm.
Because eventually I may end up like Alex. I don't move my collection as much as he does, but eventually I may get there. So it's like the ones I don't play may not stay.
so
Also, I may not go back to that company.
What exactly? What's in your like? What are on your bookshelves or under the TV or in the closet?
Well, I would just like to say that we tried to solve that problem for you by designing a game that looks good enough to just put on your coffee table.
Like-
You don't have to bother with the.
Absolutely, yes. You don't even need to put it on a shelf or put it next to a nightstand.
Yeah, I do.
You know what? This should be in
Yeah.
every hotel room next to the Gideon's Bible. It's just, I think that
There
love
we go.
that.
that is your.
There we go.
I like
that's,
that.
That's your new strategy.
We're gonna make a Gideon's Bible expansion pack, actually. Old Testament and New Testament.
Oh gosh.
So we are, I'd say, in terms of strategy games, we are lovers of what you probably consider like starter strategy games.
Ooh,
We're
do
dipping
tell.
our toes. I play Settlers of Catan at least once a day.
Love it.
Yesterday, I played it 3 times.
Can I show you what's on my? Can I show you what's on my computer
She
screen
played
right
it
now?
on the
Yeah.
way here.
It is 3D Catan. Like look at this. Look, they're releasing it this year. It's everything in 3 dimension.
This segment of the show
When we
is brought to
buy.
you by the letter C.
Yes,
That's what I want for Christmas.
but like, is
No,
I
that
love
is
it.
that not?
Whoa.
I mean, like, come on.
Yeah,
Come-
that's
come on.
really good.
I mean, come on.
And you know what's awesome about this?
Whoa.
Actually, the fact that we're talking about it.
That's just been sitting. That's what we were talking about that before the show went on. It's
It's-
3D commit. So
Yeah.
Ticket to ride?
Ticket
Yeah.
to Ride.
TTR.
Ticket to ride?
What else have we been playing?
Th-
In terms
those-
of party
Those are the ones we
games,
played the most during
What's
the
the
last
sushi
year.
one?
Sushi Go.
Sushi
Sushi
Go. That's a
Go.
fun
Sushi
party
Go.
game. that we
Hanabi.
like.
Oh, I
Hanabi.
love Hanabi so much.
Hanabi
So
fans. Secret Hitler.
Now we can get into
This part's going to be fun. So every time we have a guest,
so
every single time,
every single time.
we play a game,
Nice.
and the guests never know. That's part of the game.
All right.
So here we don't do top 5s or top 10s because that's just too many.
This is gonna be interesting.
We cut to the chase, and we always do top 3 lists because we get to the cream of the cream, and we call that segment, Alex, not just good, but super good.
See what we
So
did
we
there?
play a version of
That's
that
the
with
only
our
time that
with
we're
our
really in
guests.
sync.
Is it a major third?
We play a version of that with our guests, and we always come up with a list of your top 3 of something. So this time we chose.
Do you want to go get the spiders?
Yes, spiders. I did lots of spiders. Any game with a spider.
Yeah, go grab the spiders.
So grab the spiders. We'll play our game.
See, now I don't feel bad about what's about to happen.
This is true. This is good point. And hey,
Are we each doing a
No,
top
no.
3?
You guys
Yes.
can have a collective. They can
Okay.
have a
Collective?
collective.
Whatever we
Have a
want.
collective.
Okay.
No, man.
We'll just-
no.
And then you can have an honorable mention if you want to go to 6.
See, this is the guy that 2 turns later, he's trying to take his turn back. When you take your hand off the piece, it's done. No, y'all each doing a list. We got 4 lists coming.
What do you guys think of Kingmakers?
I'm okay with Kingmakers. I will do it. I don't mind it because
Okay.
I'm a vindictive gamer.
Okay,
I
that's
mean, I'm
fair.
just going to throw that out there.
Well, no, he is a vindictive
Yeah,
gamer.
so-
But here's the list, guys. Here we go. We're going to do the top 3 games about one of life's inevitabilities. What is your favorite game about life itself? See, this is where we need the camera.
That's because they like
Perfect.
They like
So, Mister, you want to go? No, you
life
don't-
about trains. You could do that.
I'll go first.
Trains get you to places. So
I'll
you
go.
can do Ticket to Ride.
Anything that you can quantify.
I'll go first.
No, I'll go first.
I'll go first.
Well, we're going in order so that they get to go last.
okay.
All right. So we'll give them a couple of minutes to think.
That's why we're here. We wouldn't want to talk to anyone else.
Oh, we're
Now
gonna.
you guys feel like the normal couple.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you've been to dinner parties. So what do you do? Oh, we make board games.
About death.
Yeah.
No, we're at the point where people still love to talk about it. Our friends are going to be tired very soon.
Very, very awesome. All right, here we go. First game. These aren't in order, so just throw them out there. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put out. I'll go here. I'll go The Seventh Continent, which is by Ludovic Rowdy and Bruno Sauter and Sirius Pope. You haven't played it. So
I know, but I know exactly.
in the game, you are cursed. You wake up on an island, you're cursed, and if you don't find the cure to your curse, you're going to die. So you spend the game exploring upside down tiles. You're flipping them over, and the world unfolds before you as you go, and you're trying to figure out how to lift this curse from yourself and get back to civilization because you don't even know where you are. So nothing makes you sit there and think about on your own life, more like trying to figure out how did I get here and what's killing me and how do I stop it.
Wow.
What's the name of that?
Seventh Continent.
He's gonna have a trust.
I'm
You
just
don't.
taking a lot of notes.
Okay, so this game, this is a cooperative game. and basically it's a Rolodex of cards and map pieces. So please, for your sanity, he will get lost in like 200 hours worth of content. So just be.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
Well, he may have to. We don't want him to be underemployed. So
we're gonna Amazon Prime this game tonight.
that's right. All right. So the game I picked, my first game is Stone Age by Bernard Brunnhofer. Basically, Stone Age is it's kind of the quintessential worker placement. Are you guys familiar with that term?
I'm familiar with Stone Age.
Okay, cool. So basic worker placement. Put a worker down and you get stuff. But the idea is you're trying to live in a Stone Age village. So build tools, increase your agriculture, and then you actually increase your population. You send people to the tent until then you send 2 meeples in, 3 meeple come out. That's how I was explained how meeples were born. But yeah, that's Stone Age by Z-Man Games. And so that's about life. Sorry. All right. Okay. Can you promise you there are no wrong answers here?
There really aren't.
Between the 4 of us, I'm sure that we can.
My first thought was life insurance, which is kind of a game
Okay.
about life and death.
I don't know this one.
No, it's not a board game.
Oh.
This is just when you
The actual
When-
the process
roll
of
the
life
dice.
insurance.
Yes.
I like these people.
So that was my first guess.
I'll allow it. So
That ain't a game.
Maybe we should. Our next game will be. Well, our next game should be about taxes.
no, we'll say you'd have the death and taxes. But what would be interesting though if you did a life insurance kind of expansion to this, like maybe people are bidding on how low so maybe you have a few cards out and you say, oh well, I'll insure that for $20, and then
Yeah,
and
there's
then
risk.
that's it. So it's a secondary scoring element.
Yeah.
How many kids do you want to have in this game?
Yeah.
Who gets a payout?
Whoa.
Funny that you mentioned that, actually, because in the sleepover death box, there was a death calculator that my roommate at the time was an actuary for health insurance companies. And so she actually had what insurance companies calculate to figure out how long you're going to live. And we were going to just stick a USB drive in the box that had a calculator. You would just type in your info.
That's actually really exciting.
Yeah.
Well,
We were
I
like,
had a
this
6th
is-
cup of coffee today. What's
Yeah.
It's kind of like the running debt clock,
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. So now we're back to the list. Oh, we're not letting this go.
Okay. Pandemic.
There you go.
Fantastic. So,
That's a good
Sarah,
one.
what's yours?
Oh, we're doing 2 different ones?
Oh, yeah, you're doing 2 different ones.
Settlers, then.
Settlers.
We're going to
Yeah,
go. Because
well,
that
so-
is my favorite game.
Well, and it's all about life on a new island.
Yes.
Absolutely 100%.
Yeah.
There it is. All right, Larry, go for it.
Second one, Dice Hospital.
Oh.
This one's by Stan Kordonsky. It was published by Alley Cat. It's just what it says it is. It's a hospital, and you're rolling dice, so it's a dice game. It's got a bit of push your luck, but you're trying to make sure that you get your patients treated and out of the hospital before they die. And at first, you're like, oh, this is great. It's so pleasant. I'm having fun, and I'm picking up people to work for. What do you mean wait, what happened?
Yeah,
9
your
months
dice-
died? Wait, what?
your
And then,
dice die a
so the rest
lot.
of the time, you're trying to fix it. But it's still, to me, it doesn't end up being too pushy. After I played it with Alex, I went and bought my own copy because I'm like, oh my God, it's so fun. It does play solo, which is huge for me. But clearly, Dice Hospital is all about life.
No, it is all about life. And
What's yours?
Lots of pips. I'm going to go with Terraforming Mars. So,
Very cool.
Do you guys know Terraforming Mars at all?
No.
I'm familiar with the game. Never played it.
Okay, so basically, Terraforming Mars is if Catan had a card element to it. That's not even close. It has hexagonal spaces.
really not.
So that's about all I got. But no,
It's similar shape.
yes, exactly. There's a circle somewhere. No, Terraforming Mars. The idea is that you are a corporation and you are terraforming Mars. So you're trying to bring it to habitation levels so people can live there. The way the game works is you draft a number of cards, or you draw them depending on how you want to play, and then you play those cards and they stay in front of you, and then you basically are building an engine. So the cards that you laid in previous rounds do things for you this round, and you're moving to tick up the particular habitation levels of like oxygen and put down oceans and different things like that. And it just each turn builds off all the other turns before. So by the end of it, you have like 20 cards in front of you. Each of them, you're flipping and ticking and doing all this, putting cubes on things and processing stuff, and it's a little overwhelming if you have no idea what you're doing. Like if you walk up on it and you go, what the heck is that? But the build is so incremental until eventually it grows exponential, and you're doing so many different transactions and functions. It's a blast. It's not a super thinky game, but it's probably one of the best games to come out in the last. I mean, I would say top 5 board games of all time, and well, okay, maybe top 10. I'm gonna go top 10. I'll go top 10. No, I'm saying top 10, but it came out. It came out about, I want to say 8 years ago. Maybe they just released a new Kickstarter that has that basically looks like 3D Catan, but you can get like the original copy for $30 or $40 on Amazon. It's absolutely worth it, but it's all card based. There are some cubes, and so it plays great at 2-player. So and it's it's good. It's you feel smarter after playing it, but you don't really increase your IQ. So.
So anyway, my number 2 is a game that I've yet to create based on Biosphere 2.
Okay, and please let it have Polly Short on the cover.
Yeah.
But that's Biodome. That's what that was.
Yeah.
So sorry.
But if
Which
you don't know
is-
what Biosphere 2 is, you should watch the documentary Spaceship Earth. It will tell you everything you need to know, and then you will steal my idea for
Actually, that
this
would
game.
be kind of okay. All right, we'll
Yeah.
discuss. We'll talk.
I think Biodome was inspired by Biosphere 2 in a way because
it-
it happened right after Biosphere 2 happened.
they're
I
like,
think.
well, if Polly Shore can do it,
Yeah.
I
Oh
can-
my
I can do
gosh.
it.
Yeah.
So
Usually we're the ones getting off track. In a minute, we'll be talking about Antarctica. You
I
won't even know
already
what
said,
happened.
don't encourage them. Clearly, I should have said it both ways.
Yeah.
in addition to bringing spiders to people's homes, we derail podcasts. That's what we do.
No, we listen. We don't need any help. We
You got to be on the rails to be derailed. So we're safe. We're good. You're number 2, sir. You're on the clock.
Oh, well, I think the obvious one is Operation.
I almost said Operation
Hey.
because
Now, are
it's
you
such
go-
a fun game. It's like you love to be bad at it.
This is true. Like secretly, you're like, oh,
like-
shucks.
Beep, oops,
Yeah.
beep, oops, beep, 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 oops.
Hey, move on.
That's pretty good. So my third one is definitely one out of left field for Alex. I know he probably won't see this one, but this one is one that I love to play. It's Role Player by Keith Majetka and Thunderworks Games. This one, you use dice to create a character. So you're creating a life. And then, of course, with the expansions, you get to move forward and actually use that life to do adventures. So, man, it's about life.
Okay, you know what? That's weird.
That's Role Player
Okay,
by Thunderworks Games.
paper thin. All right.
Well, let's see yours now.
All
sir.
right. Okay, I'm ready. Like this one, I got to like booyah. It's a booyah. You ready? Okay, my booyah is Zia Legends of a Drift System because basically it's it is a what's called a sandbox game.
Same thing I just did, but it's space. Mine was medieval. His is space.
No, yours is nothing. Like the games are so not even similar. But
Yeah.
Zia, you get to choose. Do you want to be a pirate? Do you want to be a spacer? Do you want to be a police officer? You fly around. There's no like internal mechanism that says like you have to do the X, Y, Z. It's just you go on, and then the way the game ends, it's triggered by legend points. So as you accomplish, so think of it as kind of an open world RPG game, but you are flying a spaceship.
On the table.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's really cool. It gets wonky and all out there, but some of the greatest stories happen because of events that you pull out and things of that. So
It's
Zia,
really good.
Legends of a Drift System.
It's really good.
So-
I love it.
Wow.
Miss Sarah, number 3.
We are going to sound like the most like boring games people ever because we don't play a lot of crazy strategy games. I am going to take
doesn't
it back
have to be a
to
strategy
this
game.
is not a strategy game. The game that I played the most growing up, it is not a board game, but I was so into The Sims that I can't not mention it because it is literally the game
I'll allow it.
of life.
I'll allow it.
And if they made a Sims board game, I would be all. They never did, right?
They never did.
I would be all over it. We were just joking
There's
the
nothing
other
keeping
day.
you from making one.
This is true. I mean,
Licensing.
No,
Well,
no.
and then pitch it to them and say, hey,
Yeah.
I've got a game. You've
I
got the
could do it.
license.
Listen,
Just
the
the
amount
world of
of
The Sims and they did a thing for The Sims 3, I think, where they hired real pop stars to re-record their songs in Simish, like
Yeah.
Sim language. It's incredible. I
I've-
spent a lot of time in my life playing The Sims. Once in college, this will age me, not in a good or bad way, it just will age me. When I was in college, I was studying for exams and decided now would be a good time to pick up The Sims again. And I downloaded The Sims from Amazon. which you can do now. You don't need a CD-ROM.
No.
Amazon will just give it to you. And I picked up playing The Sims instead of studying for finals because I thought
but
was the perfect
And that
time.
went out.
But you know what, though? You know what? Look here, college professors.
Aced it.
Yeah,
Look here.
ha-ha. Who's
Yeah.
a game? What'd you call us? Game
Designers.
designers.
That's right. You're developers, too.
Mr.
Yes.
Mitchell.
Yeah, we were just talking on the way over here. We were talking about, what should kids learn in school if they don't remember anything, and most of it is irrelevant to real jobs. Like, as a former high school teacher, I'm always asking this question. And if somebody were to ask us, like, which subjects in school are important, so anybody young out there who's in high school or middle school wondering, what should I study? What should I focus on so I can prepare to make games when I'm older or now? And the answer is none. Just play games. Just play a lot of games, and you'll figure it out. That's
true.
kind of
This is true.
That's kind of our.
This is why
thing.
I'm also a teacher, and I also play board games, too.
Yeah.
And I did, and you're in theater, right?
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
So I did a bunch of theater in high school, and it's kind of part of this, right?
Yeah,
it's kind of part of the
if
deal.
I would have had, can you imagine
But I did sports, and this still happened. So who knows?
Yeah.
Nothing matters. Nothing matters.
That's right. I mean, but again,
So, yeah.
which is something we talk about all the time, though. Like, games are something that, regardless of what part of culture you are, it is a unifier because everyone
Absolutely.
loves joy. They love a joyous occasion. They love to smile. They love, to laugh. I mean, that breaks down barriers. That breaks down language, gaps. I mean, everything. So,
Also, we're all gonna die. So that's the two
listen,
things.
you have hit joy and death. That's it.
Yeah.
So,
That's all.
again, if we were doing another Venn diagram, joy, death, and then taxes.
Sarah, put the spiders away. We don't need them right now.
Are you gonna say a third game?
Yeah, Mitchell. Yeah. I'm not
Third
going to let
game.
him off the
I
hook.
have to
He's
say,
he's
okay.
don't learn anything, kids. That's it.
It's funny. My last year of teaching, I think I said that too
Well,
often,
he's-
and the
be
principal
careful.
was like, "You're done."
That's it.
The guy who says don't learn anything doesn't know how to count because he didn't say his third game. So you
Oh
gotta
yeah,
be
that's
careful.
true. So
Wow.
I think a game that was really inspiring for us when we were making this, as far as aesthetics and theme too, even though they're obviously very different, is a game that I loved so much growing up, which was Clue. And it, like, the aesthetics of the game, not the like aesthetics of the box, but
Love it.
the aesthetic of the game. The
Yes.
like macabre theme,
Feel.
the sort of mystery feel, the like sort of fake elegant thing
Yeah.
going on they were doing. Like, I don't even know what you call that. Like, all of that was,
Feligance.
Feligance.
Yes.
The Feligance of Clue
Yes.
is my autobiography. So that's that was a huge inspiration for me, really, because I loved it, and I still love playing Clue.
Well, again, it's
to be
making
honest,
light of it's such a dark subject.
yes. And Tim Curry, come on,
Tim Curry.
yeah, Madeline Kahn, come on.
I'm gonna make a confession. I have only seen the end of that movie.
What?
Wait,
Which
did you
one?
know? Yeah, did you know that in theaters they played a couple different endings? There
So
are
they-
multiple endings to
Yes!
the movie Clue.
So then maybe I saw one ending, but I have not. Well, I mean, the one that I saw had it was kind of like Wayne's World where they did a bunch of endings.
Right.
So maybe I saw a special edition. I don't know, but I didn't even see the whole movie. I just saw the end of it. Oh, do they? Okay. All right.
So see,
But
So
they,
see?
when you went to go see it in the theater and you came home and you're like, "Hey, Sarah, did you see Clue? Yeah, I saw Clue. Did you see Clue? Yeah. Isn't it crazy how Mr.
Colonel
Body
Mustard did it?
killed Colonel Mustard or whatever?" And they're like, "No, that's not how it ended. Are you drunk?" And like people would argue about it. It's an excellent
And they
marketing.
would never speak again, and
technique.
it
Yeah.
ruined a lot of families.
Yeah, yeah,
Way to go, Tim Curry.
yeah. That's
You know what? I don't think I think Tim Curry's on the hook for ruining clowns for a lot of people.
Right.
So
too funny. That is hilarious. Well, no, I think the lists are fantastic. And guys, we don't want it to end, but we got to end it at some point. So, Alex, you got any
because we
final?
were late.
listen,
No.
we are old maids. That's another card game. So
Alex, you got any final thoughts, man?
you know what? I'm super excited. for
Okay,
you
that's
guys.
great from you. Okay, so now back to our. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm really excited. I think what pushes our hobby forward are people who come in with different expectations, and that's what I'm excited about for you guys. Is that again, I am going to encourage you stick with your I think that you have something in your aesthetics I
Oh,
think
yeah.
you have something in your humor.
Absolutely.
And I think there are a lot of us out there that this will speak to, not just Death Charades, but like any other product. You know, this is what could set you apart.
When it speaks to you, that's the ghosts.
Yes,
It's the spirits.
She's my favorite. She's my favorite.
Yeah, suck it, Mitchell.
Story of my life.
She's my favorite. She's
I
great.
like you, Mitchell.
Sarah's great. Sarah's great. No,
Hey,
I don't
you
mean
know what?
I don't mean just between the
All
two
right,
of them. I mean in
top
general.
three of us.
Yeah, just in general.
She just and she likes you better than me. So I mean, it's
So,
okay.
Yeah.
and to go off of that, what I was going to say too, one of the cool things that I think that I definitely want to encourage you guys with, the work that you guys put in,
Yeah, for real.
the way that you guys built up your network by leaning on it, what you have done. Basically, I know we said you guys are developers and you guys are designers. You're also publishers. You're game publishers. That's what publishers do. That's what publishing is. A lot of publishing companies either spend a lot of money or a lot of time or both to put together what you guys already have.
Yeah.
So don't let that go. Okay. These brains up here, these minds that you guys have, that's the heart of the engine. But there are very, 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 very many other parts. The cogs as well, and you guys have already done that, which is fantastic. From the graphic design to the production, the process you worked out. Doing play testing early on. So if nothing else, no matter what the actual type of game is, whatever the subject is, if you lift the formula, you guys are going to be successful. Yeah. Lift that formula
Thank you.
Wow.
and put it to whatever you're doing.
We were going to give you a game anyway.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm kidding.
No.
But
Thank
seriously,
you.
no, it's
That's
fantastic.
very
Thank you.
nice.
Yeah, it's
So kind of
very-
you. Thank you.
Yeah, very impressive. I always like to do these. These are kind of selfish for me in these meaning when we have designers on because, of course, I've done some development work. I've done some design work. And I always take notes as well as I've done here too. And I always listen back. So for me, I mean, I can't wait to go back and go over it and listen to it and take the notes out because you can always learn stuff in so many boxes you guys ticked off that I'm like, yep, they did that.
So-
and a few things I'm like, oh, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah,
Oh,
and-
I can't wait to use that myself.
What
So,
you were equating
Fantastic.
as happy accidents,
Fantastic.
like are actually, they are milestones of people who know how to do this business.
Yeah, it's what people have found
So
out.
we encourage you. They're
Yeah.
not happy accidents. They're actually you have a business mind and a savvy understanding
Yep.
of what does well in this industry. And so yeah, we want to encourage you there.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
Yeah.
and from all 5 of our listeners, like I mean, I'm sure at least
5 plus 995.
My
Sure.
parents would love to hear that my business degree that they paid for is doing some work.
hey, just please don't give them this podcast.
You're like, Mom and Dad, look, see?
They might not be crazy about the whole Sims part.
See?
We can't cut that out because it
Oh,
was
they
real good.
know.
Your grandmother's about to rub her tattoo in your face now.
Yeah, that's true. Like, see, you can't. No, my grandma, she refuses to listen to me. So, granted, she's 98, but you know,
She just can't hear it.
that's really what it is. Oh, that's sweet. Are you having fun with your friend Larry?
I can unfortunately hear that.
Yes.
Well, Sarah and Mitchell, thank you guys so much. We're going to make sure that we keep our eyes out and our ears out for what you guys are going to do next. Let me give you guys a few seconds, like we do with everyone, to tell everybody how to get in touch with you, where they can follow you, where they can find you. Let them hear from you guys. Go right
First
ahead.
of all, thank you so much for having us. You can follow us on social media at Death Charades everywhere. You can email us at thereaper@deathcharades.com. That is our general email address. You will speak to the Reaper, who is one of us, or a mystery dark person who you don't know.
Don't worry, he's not actually he's not the Reaper.
Nifty.
It's something that we just adopted for the game.
Yeah.
It's clever, it's clever.
So yeah, don't worry about it. So yeah, shoot us an email. We're, as you can tell, more than happy to talk. Did I miss anything? We're talkers.
I think that's it. We're just go visit the places that we are retailing in because we're
Yes.
so thankful that those partners decided to take a chance on us, and they are awesome places to go shopping if you're in the Nashville area.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they will all be in the show notes.
Yes.
I do
Also,
have-
our website, even if you don't buy it there, it's just super fun to look at.
That actually,
and it's beautiful.
Larry and I, as soon as we looked, we were like, we want whoever did that. Like, your website is our favorite.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
fantastic.
thank you.
But again, it carries the aesthetic, all the way through, so.
We do need to give a
Yeah.
shout out
Yeah,
there.
please.
We've already talked about Steve Luema, who is the graphic artist and box designer behind this, who's just a genius. And the web designer is a guy who worked for me until very recently, who now is the head of UX design for SurveyMonkey.
Oh,
like
gosh.
he's a really
they
talented,
need
amazing
His
guy.
name is Jeff Hunt.
His name is Jeff Hunt. He lives in Ottawa, Canada, and he's just one of the best people. Again, we found some of the best people on the planet to partner with for all of this. These guys are amazing. Go find them. Jeff Hunt, he does do some side projects. So if anybody out there is like looking for an amazing website, he and then Steve Loma, and then we also have to talk about, just very briefly, the company Howlet, which is an American company based in Hong Kong. They manufacture lots of stuff from China. This is their first game, and they're super pumped to get into the games space.
Really?
And not only are they really easy to work with and amazing people, but they manufacture the game and then they ship it to their own fulfillment center in Auburn, Kentucky, an hour from here. And it's like a end-to-end process that they made super easy for us.
Which is huge. For budding designers, because, most people, they have to go to Panda. And
that just answered a bunch of questions for a lot of
and
people,
that's super expensive. But to know, so
Yeah, we just threw this in at the very end. This is actually very important.
really pertinent information.
it will be in the show notes.
But Howlet,
HOW capital LETT, one word.
Okay.
Howlet, and the head of that company, his name is Miles Leach, and you can talk to him. So
He's
you don't
awesome.
have to go through one of these massive. We talked to them.
Yeah.
We've been there.
like-
We've been to the warehouse.
We've been to the warehouse. One of the guys who works there is amazing. His name is Nick. He
We
dressed
sent
as
him
the
a Reaper costume,
for
and
us.
he put it on to pack our games. And
can
take
I
a bunch of
imagine?
pictures.
I imagine the Mr. Leach was like, "Dude, this is our first game. You need to get in the costume." But I don't want to get in the costume.
No, we mentioned it when we were there, and he was like, "I'd wear the costume."
Yeah.
And we were like, "Okay, yeah."
Done.
Super cool.
And there's and then look out for major national
Yeah, we'll
potential.
tell
We don't
you
want to get
when
too
we
excited about
can.
this because nothing's
In
signed
stone
yet.
Well, hey, as soon as you guys find something out, get in touch with us. We will blast it out on our channels.
Yeah.
Okay.
oh,
All
Thank
three
you.
of them.
Absolutely.
you guys rock.
We will blast it out on the channels. Well, I guess we've come to a wow.
Wow.
It's a fantastic wow because we've had some guests. We had a great time today. Again, guys, we appreciate you guys for coming. And so we're just going to leave it at that. So for the Spoken Token, this is Larry Neal saying keep communicating.
And this is Alex Wallace saying, "Keep playing."
This has been the Spoken Token Podcast. If you would like to interact with us, please find us at Facebook at The Spoken Token, on Instagram at The Spoken Token Podcast. Our Twitter account is at The Spoken Token. Email is thespokentokenpodcast@gmail.com. And our BGG guild number is 2656.
You are listening to a Pod Studio One Podcast Network podcast. Find more great podcasts at www.podstudio1.com.
Hello, everyone. This is Larry with a fantastic deal from our friends over at Macabre Enterprises, the makers of Death Charades, the game. If the game we talked about in this episode sounds good to you and you want to support its creators, we have a special deal for you, our listeners, right now. If you order through their website and use the code MementokenMori, that's Memento Token Mori, they are giving you the spoken 10% off of MSRP. The discount is for their website only at deathcharades.com. Now, the spoken token is not getting anything for this. This is simply good people wanting to do good things and offer a discount on good gaming. Remember, the website is deathcharades.com, and that code will be available in our social media channels as well as in the show notes. And again, it's Memento Mori. And that's for spoken token listeners to get 10% off the game Death Charades. Thanks a lot. Keep communicating and keep playing. This is Larry, signing off.